Hello, my name is John King, and I'm with Showcase Photo and Video in Atlanta, Georgia. And I'm here to present to you an exciting new product that we now represent in the marketplace and have successfully installed in a variety of customers in Atlanta, from photography studios to corporate marketing departments, advertising agencies, and small design firms, all of which is oriented to increase their capability and productivity and fine art printing. So this product is introduced by ColorBurst Systems, and it is called Overdrive. It's a very simple product, and it can be tested in 15 days with a free test drive. I really encourage you to do that to see how extraordinary this product is. In the 19 years that I have been doing color management, I have never seen this option so effective, inexpensive, easy to set up and use. It is deadly accurate, as we will prove in our videos, and it's certifiable to ID Alliance international specifications. We've seen some results down to Delta E 0.6. And it will also enhance the way you can use the nesting options for Overdrive Layout, a second program that comes with Overdrive. And that layout program, as you can see from here, will allow you to nest a variety of pictures with very feature-rich. I have a second video just about layout, but I want to take you back to the real product here. This is a Mac-only product. It only runs on Mac 10.6 through 10.8, of course. And I run it very easily on a Mac Mini for under $5.95, and it works extremely well. So let's dive into the program a little bit. And here it is. Here is our RIP interface, made up of the job queue, where files are either dragged into here or are opened through the open option to just select the files that you want to place inside of the job folder. So the jobs then are processed. We can set the RIP to be on or off to allow you to review any files that are in there. Set the RIP to receive on hold so that all files will come in here, and you can be assured that the setup to the printer is accurate before you process the files. And in some cases you'll want to preview the product so you have an option to review it before it actually goes to the printer. And we'll show that in a little bit as I come back to that. I am going to get into a little bit of detail here, as many of my new clients, as they train employees on how to use the RIP and access the RIP, they want more detail, and I'm going to take you through pretty much all of it as quickly as I can. The story behind Overdrive is the settings. These are the environments that can be set up. This is far less complicated than most expensive RIPs that are available for CMYK and for RGB RIPs that are utilized for nesting and for profiling. So let's get into the heart of it, and we'll talk about these settings. And to do so, we'll actually create a new environment. Think of these environments as simply presets that you're comfortable with at all times. Let me take you through that. Each configuration or preset will relate to the size and type of paper and to the profiles that are used for that paper, and you'll see that evolve. But you may have a variety of papers and a variety of size papers and an environment for each one. And we start out with 5 parts to the environment, and that includes the printer part, where we are, as it opens in the default state of page attributes. At this point, you simply come down and select a particular page, all the way from letter, sheet, onward up to very specific roles. This is a 9900 Epson, so we'll start talking a little bit about custom papers, and that allows me to set the 36-inch roll will be one choice for my 44-inch printer, but as you can see, I have a variety of custom papers. And those papers can be, the width, of course, is the actual width of the paper, and the length and the height of that sheet can be quite large if you need it to be. In this case, I have it set to 90. I always recommend that when you set up papers for particular printers, that you select that printer at this point to define the margins as you save it. So we then say OK, and there's our 36-inch paper. As we march through the printer setups, we move to the color settings, always Epson color controls. This is a more complicated discussion, but actually Overdrive is integrated in and accessing the Epson tonal curves to do its magnificent work of rigid standards to color management. The obviously very familiar screens will be the printer settings. These come with the Epson or Canon or HP printers, so this is the typical printer driver window for printer settings. Nothing unusual. Always select Roll Banner, and I'll show you a little bit why. Select the paper that you're going to use. In this particular case, we want to move to a proofing paper, and most of my customers are using the white semi-matte in both rolls and sheets. But in this case, we'll do the roll and take off our color management. We do not want Epson to actually manage the color, i.e. introducing profiles and things of that sort. That's to be left to the Overdrive rep. As you see, you have a choice for 16-bit output as well if you typically are using 16-bit printing images that way. I like to select 720 for production speed, but again, if you're doing more fine art, you can always select a much higher DPI. Always take the microweave off and trade it for finest detail. Now, because we're using banner, you will see in a moment why we want to pick banner, and very critical to the setup is to come down and select on the next screen the roll paper settings, which is Save Roll Paper. There's a very specific reason for that, as you will see in a moment. Now you can select your off or normal cut for each sheet as it comes off the printer. With all of those, you do not need to make any changes to the Advanced Color Media Control Panel, and we hit OK for our print part of the environment. Then we jump over to our page and we define it as a roll or a sheet, and we define the width, and we've already selected 36 inches, so we want this to be consistent. Now we will actually hit the dynamic height. So because we have banner paper in there, and because we have the Save Roll option in the print dialog, the printer setup dialog, now we will have the feature that as we print a 20-inch image on a 90-inch piece of paper, it'll only print that 20 inches. So it'll only print as long as the image actually requires. Jump on down to the bottom, and the auto rotate is extremely useful, particularly when you're printing across a network and you're creating perhaps a PDF that is a landscape 12 by 18 or tabloid, and it will come over to the RIP, to ColorBurst, at which point the paper that has been installed is a vertical portrait paper, a 13 by 19, which is typical sheet for proofing. This way, when the file comes, the PDF comes across the network, it will know to auto rotate to take a landscape PDF and print it onto a portrait paper. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. We'll talk a little bit about the preparation of files as they come across the network as well. Now, for color management, these are the critical pieces as well. This is where a great deal of the accuracy and the work of the environment actually takes place. So we start with ICC profiles are always utilized in the process. We will select auto spot color, and I want to talk to you a little bit about that. This is a tremendous tool. It optimizes Pantone C and Pantone U colors because it now is licensed by the Pantones to interpret when it sees a Pantone to convert it to particular CMYK values. And I can tell you this has astounded some of my clients with the accuracy that it can portray a Pantone color. In future generations, which is not too far now from this October time frame, there will be the inclusion to create a custom, in the case of perhaps cotton, TCX Pantones. We can go in with an X-Rite spectrophotometer, measure the spot color, determine the lab values, and using those lab values build a table Pantone by Pantone so that in the future when it picks up that particular Pantone name in the document, it will know exactly what to do with it. These are the default states in our input profile, so it will attach an Adobe 98 or an sRGB. You can always come down and select sRGB. Many people are doing that. They don't really have Adobe 98 in the being utilized in their layouts if it is an RGB layout. Of course, Grackle is the industry standard right now, but of course that can be switched to a swap and to a Fogra and any of these other profiles depending upon the options that your printer, the ultimate offset or web press printer is going to use. However, we do want to check the use embedded profile, which simply means we require the actual embedded profiles, which is a terrific and necessary idea, that in each of the images, and including images that are embedded in layout documents, you do want to always utilize that embedded image. And frankly, we hope in the CMYK world that is a Grackle standard. The absolute colorimetric is very important for rendering intent, so we get absolute numbers here in order to conform to CMYK proofing standards. Okay, those are the major issues there. Now, of course, the all-important output profile. This will automatically default to the paper that was chosen earlier in the printer setups. Overdrive can pick up that information. However, in many cases now we're building custom profiles with the X-Rite i1 Publish Pro 2, and in this particular case we've built an optimized profile. See if I can find it here. I think I definitely have it on this. Here we go. This would be a Han paper, a Hahnemühle paper. Here's a semi-white optimized ICC profile. This is the preferred. There will be, again, increased accuracy by building custom profiles or having them built for you. But the default profiles are quite good as well. We can hit Ideal Alliance target standards for certifying CMYK proofs using the default profiles. The really important thing to know about Overdrive is that it leverages RGB profiles. When we build a specific program, unlike most CMYK proofing devices, we would normally be building a CMYK printer profile. But RGB is the source for Overdrive, as those conversions through the Epson tonal curves gets us to our CMYK values. And we can discuss that more with you as the questions develop. So that does mean, however, that any time with Overdrive that you, of course, pick up a new paper and you want to utilize previously made profiles by vendors, Hahnemühle, Museo, Moab, any of those different papers, Canon, HP, you can pick up the RGB profile because vendors don't send out CMYK profiles. Anything you pick up on the web will be RGB. Those can plunk right in here as a custom profile from any one of the vendors that source the paper. Okay, now we move on to titles. This RIP gives you the option of adding titles, where you want to add them, above and below, what the font size will be and the font character, exactly what data do you want to include, current date and time, and I think it's wise to put the environment name, which double checks that you have in fact printed the right environment with the right profiles on the paper, and that will go to the clients. When you pick up the color proofing bar, this is terrific. I can't actually show you this, but there are options to build unique Ideal Alliance profiles for customers and place them on your particular proofs. In this case, you would actually take the Ideal Alliance color wedge, remove it from the software, go into something like InDesign or Illustrator, and recreate something more elaborate where you can add logos and approval statements and copyright information to create a very, very customized proofing color bar for your application. But that's it. Those are the 5 steps. We've gone through every detail on that, and we definitely want to now save that and determine what we did. We did 720 DPI, and we did it on semi-matte, white, Epson at 36 inches. That gives us a full description of the environment so that as we go to choose that at a later point, we'll know exactly what we're looking for. And most of these that I've set up are fairly similar. We've got 24-inch, we've got some 13 by 19 sheets at 720 DPI. So you can see the point. If I want to print on sheets, that's fine, particularly with the Epson 4900 where there's a cassette to hold these papers. That's very convenient for a lot of clients to just print on cassettes. Out of the cassette and set it up as a 1319 portrait sheet. So that's the way we get to the bottom line here. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about how files get into the RIP, because particularly if it's a network. Now, as we talked about, it could be as simple as taking an image file. If I can find one, take a picture file, a TIFF file like this, and simply drag it into the RIP. Now the RIP is not on yet, but we can turn the RIP on. We can preview this file over here on the right side, and we can actually set it up as a preview. Once we have it in here, now we can kind of regather, do we have the right paper, do we have the right width, and now are we ready to send it to the printer. So then actually we activate that file, and it will start to proceed, and because we've selected our print preview, we will have the opportunity to preview it one more time before it goes out to the printer, and we will see the actual titles being printed on there and the color wedge or custom color wedge at that point. And our processing of the file is nearly complete, and that will lead us to the view of the preview. There it is, and we can check again that we have not forgotten anything, and simply come over to the print and print it. That will deliver this print now to the queue for the printer. And my printer is offline right now, so you'll see a variety of error messages from everything that was offline. But here's our product trying to print, and had the printer been on, this would go straight through. So that's how we move through the RIP, and all the profiles and all those decisions we made previously are embedded in the PostScript file that's leading to it. When we get to PostScript files, by the way, we always want to deliver a PDF, and that PDF is specifically made, and I'll give you those instructions now on how to create a high quality PDF in the Adobe 7 version 1.6. That will give us, that's the preference versus printing directly to ColorBurst. We actually save the file to the hot folder, which I'd like to show you. The hot folder is either local or across a network, and that hot folder is located inside the ColorBurst RIP. It's in the ColorBurst Overdrive 2.15 folder, one of our previous versions. We've left our hot folder in this area and shared it across the network in the case of network applications. So where is it? We look into our system preferences, into our sharing. We look for file sharing, and there's our hot folder that we found and shared it across the network for read and write features. And everyone on the network will be able to see that hot folder and save their files to it. You can also drag files to it. So we'll actually demonstrate that where we open up our hot folder. And here it is. And we can take another, open a new window, and take some of our pictures and drag the picture right into the hot folder, whether we save to it or drag to it. And there it is. It automatically, without me touching anything, it shows up. This is a color proofing target chart, and it shows up in the RIP awaiting to be processed. Had we left receive on hold off, it would have automatically processed as well. So the hot folder becomes very powerful for all of your network applications, and you don't have to come over to the printer or anything. If you're confident that your settings, that your environment is correct, and you know you want perhaps you know that you're printing to you're printing a tabloid that you're rotating as a PDF, then you can take all of your, leave your RIP on, and take your receive off, and take your print preview off, and know that it will go from your desk on the network all the way through to the Epson printer in this particular case, and there'll be a final print sitting and waiting for you. Very, very convenient, great product. Don't think there's much that I've left out. Again, I encourage you to look into the 15-day trial and play with it a little bit, and use this video to go over some of the details again. I'm sure it will take a little while to get comfortable with it, but it moves very quickly, and I have very, very many applications in place in the Atlantis and in the South to demonstrate that my clients are adapting to it extremely well, and very pleased with that. In future videos, we will talk about using the X-Rite spectrophotometers in I1 Publish to actually verify it can read these barcodes and tell you the delta E variance from targets in all aspects of it. It's an extremely detailed report that will pass or fail your print. So you end up with prints that you can send to printers that they, of course, can measure, and you can send a certification report along with your print on a major job, and verify to them that what you see here is exactly accurate according to Ideal Alliance targets and certification requirements. So that's it. I enjoyed talking with you. I know there was a lot of detail there, but happy proofing. Thank you.